a pressing issue in the dispute landscape is this issue of suspension of payment, right? And I say it's a sensitive topic because, you know, in my office we deal with tax disputes pretty much day in and day out, right? And so we know that suspension of payment requests is a big issue, especially from a tax clearance perspective, because the guys are complaining, I did a suspension, but SARS is still reflecting me as non-compliant. I can't get a clearance, so I can't do work. And I understand the frustration. But now, unlike an assessment, for example, that SARS raises, if SARS disallows a suspension of payment request, that decision by SARS to disallow the request is not subject to objection and appeal, right? And so, since it's not subject to objection and appeal, we know there's PAJA and there's High Court applications, but those things are expensive and they take time. So, in terms of your involvement as the Office of the Tax Ombudsman, if a suspension is declined, can you assist taxpayers in those situations to get SARS to override SARS's decision, as it were, not to grant suspension? Or if not, how do you assist? How do you assist in those circumstances?
Okay, in terms of the complaints that we have received, Nico, let me answer. I'll come back to that one. The majority of the complaints that we receive is where taxpayers would say, I have applied for suspension of payment, SARS has not made a decision, right? And we would ask SARS to make a decision because we would have satisfied ourselves with the fact that the taxpayer has objected, or he has made SARS aware that I'm going to object because I'm still waiting for the reasons for the assessment to be provided to me, right? But where SARS has declined the application for suspension of payment, the Office of the Tax Ombudsman unfortunately cannot force SARS, or we don't have the legal standing to say, do reverse your decision. But we normally say to taxpayers, if you don't understand the reasons why SARS has declined your suspension of payment, you may request them to provide you with such reasons. And if SARS doesn't provide them with those reasons within the time frame that they stated on their service charter, taxpayers come back and complain to us, and we say to SARS, provide the taxpayer with the reasons as they had requested, and so that they can be able to know what your decision is based on.
And again, you can see as we discuss how are we carving out, or I think at least for the audience, how we carving out the procedural side of it. You know, you submit a suspension request, SARS doesn't respond. Sure, the Ombudsman can assist. Or you submit a suspension request, SARS nevertheless reflects the taxpayer's status as non-compliant despite 1646. And then they can complain to the Office of the Ombudsman and say, hang on, procedurally something is not right here. The Ombudsman can assist. If you ask for reasons in terms of, I think it's Section 5 of PAJA, I stand to be corrected. If you ask for reasons for the suspension request and then SARS doesn't respond to the reasons, that's a procedural issue that you can take to the Office of the Ombudsman and say, can you please assist in getting me the reasons? But you cannot override a decision not to grant suspension, unfortunately.
No, we cannot.
So again, it's that it should become clearer, the procedural or the administrative side where the Ombudsman assists in this process. Do you get complaints from taxpayers and tax practitioners where they say, but no, SARS disallowed my suspension request? Can you override them? Do you get complaints like that or not really?
Especially from ordinary taxpayers. They do submit such complaints, and unfortunately we would then not accept them, because we don't have a mandate to say to SARS that change your decision. We only look whether there was a service issue, there was a procedural issue rather, an administrative matter that SARS faulted in them coming to that decision. And if not, then we would recommend to the taxpayer on the options that they have.
That's fantastic to hear, in the sense that, you know, you could very well, I guess, say to it's not in my mandate, I can't help you, you know, without giving any guidance. But at least you take that extra step and say to taxpayers, right, I hear you, but this is not the right forum. This is what you could potentially do, you know, ask for reasons or whatever the case might be. So that's good. That